exercise was going to do any good. We figured we'd come out with a book like that and we'd have this report, but would it make a difference? Would it really matter to anybody? Now, obviously, whether it ultimately matters, the extent to which it ultimately matters, is yet to be determined. We have to see how the government responds. We have to see how Liberians in Liberia and in the diaspora react, and whether we can overcome past differences and move on in the spirit of reconciliation and do the economic and legal things that need to be done in your country. But I have concluded, particularly since this last trip to Liberia that Ahmed and I took to attend the Virginia conference and present the report, I've concluded that it does make a difference. Whether or not the government does what they should do, whatever happens with respect to the future. Because we've held the past up and looked at it. And it's now documented for all of history, and I do not believe that anybody on any side, whether they were in a Taylor government or in the LPC or in any of the warring factions, whether they're Kron or Mono or Gio or whatever tribe, whatever they went through, nobody is going to deny anymore, I don't think, that human rights abuses occurred and were endemic, that there were many, many victims of them throughout this conflict, and that fault, responsibility, whatever you want to call it, lies on all sides, and all sides need to work together. I've been to Liberia twice. The first time was at the start of this project in 2007, and Prince Johnson was a big deal. I mean, there was a lot of concern about what he would do. There was a lot of concern about the warlords. And I'm not saying that there aren't still concerns. But one thing that really struck me when Ahmed and I were at the Virginia conference, there were many Liberians from all over the country there. They had a big TV set up out in the lobby where they were showing excerpts from the public hearing testimony. I think including some of the public hearing testimony some of you saw over in St. Paul. But they were showing excerpts of Prince Johnson testifying and denying certain things. And there were young people there, old people, just people from Liberia, and they were laughing at what he was saying. Because denial of what is known to be true, what is now documented in history to be true, just doesn't cut it anymore. And when I saw those people laughing, I thought all of the work that the TRC did, the advisory committee did, so many Liberians did, it has done some good. People can't deny these things anymore. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I do have to point out that we actually didn't think we would end up with a 600-page book.
Thank you. Between your charity years in St. Paul, I was responsible for the war, and if you should go back and go back there,
Okay, thank you for, yeah, that is a sentiment that, the frustration that we've encountered, a lot of Liberians have expressed. But what I've said, and what we've said from the beginning of this project, as we went around the country and other places working, you know, people consistently ask questions about individuals who are in authority today, who were perceived to be violated or who have even been mentioned in the report that this was going to amount to nothing, and I disagree. Because Liberia does not exist in a vacuum. We are part of an international system. We are party to a lot of international treaties and legal instruments that regulate these things that happen. You know, the violations that occurred in Liberia, some of them are beyond our country. You know, that they can't just be say, oh, let's forget what this thing is. And I disagree that it's not compatible with our culture. I disagree with you last year, and I still do disagree with you. There's no such thing as cultural compatibility or incompatibility in terms of implementing a transitional justice measure. That's happened in other cultures. It's happened in Latin America, in other countries in Africa. It worked to a certain extent to bring some sanity to their countries, and we believe it can work in Liberia. And the Liberian process is very historic on two counts. One is to systematically engage the diaspora to give a voice to people in the diaspora. Other communities have already started looking at what we've done. Secondly, learning from other truth commissions that happen in other processes. The Liberian process was set up such that the recommendations will be legally binding upon the government to implement. So, for example, people don't understand, they think that the Liberian legislature has to accept or declare or deny the report. No, they don't have to necessarily accept the report in order for it to be implemented or implementable. They do not have that legal authority to say, we're not going to, although politically, I mean, realistically looking at, I mean, you want their support. And secondly, in the consolidated report that we've been talking about, there's a specific recommendation for particular legislation that should be enacted to create an extraordinary criminal court to hold certain individuals accountable. That will have to be enacted, will have to be passed into law by the Liberian legislature. But there are other processes if they don't do that. You know, there are international processes that could make that court happen, for example, to ensure that the reports that they were within their mandate.